Gentlemen, meet the little woman, the gal you're crazy about. Yes, you've been courting her for years, and really getting places, too. You don't seem to recognize her? Well, just a minute. Maybe this will give you a clue. You've guessed it, she's a customer. The person who buys all that soap, a salesman's best friend. And just to show you what a pal she is, pardon me, lady, but would you mind showing the boys why you're our particular sweetheart?
Oh, yes, Mr. Grocer. I want a package of Oxydol.
Yes, this is the American housewife. And that purchase of Oxydol shows what she thinks of you. Well, anyway, what she thinks of Oxydol.
And that purchase of hers and dozens like them in hundreds of thousands of stores every day have made Oxydol America's fastest growing laundry soap.
Since we've done such a swell job of courting Mrs. Housewife, let's see what it was that won her over. First, a bang-up sales job. Distribution through every worthwhile dealer in every city, town, and hamlet in the country. And displays like these, winning Mrs. Housewife's attention and favor.
And second, into every home in every city, town, and hamlet went Oxydol advertising.
Oxydol pioneered daytime radio. Starting with a handful of stations, new ones were added until today the largest number ever put behind a product advertises Oxydol.
More and more housewives saw or heard about Oxydol wherever they turned. Magazines, full pages, 4 colors, daily and Sunday newspapers. Procter & Gamble matched advertising dollars with each forward stride of the sales force.
And third, gentlemen, the most important success factor of all, the thing that makes advertising click, that makes customers and makes customers stick, the product itself.
Yes, and the chemists behind it. In Oxydol, these men made a contribution to the science of washing that made Mrs. America stand up and cheer. They put old man Blue Monday through the ringer and made him behave. Oxydol set a new high standard for fast, easy washing. White, clean washes with complete safety.
So in Oxydol, we've got everything. A grand product, an aggressive sales organization, hard-hitting advertising, a smooth-running machine that's breaking records in territory after territory, as shown by this chart based on the Milwaukee Journal Pantry Survey.
But wait, here's a man that says the speed of our fast-moving Oxydol machine can be stepped up. He says he's got what it takes to shift us into high, and what's more, he can prove it.
The chemist, the scientist who, all the while we've been busy selling, has been steadily working year after year trying to accomplish what seemed impossible, to further improve Oxydol.
Hundreds of experiments, hundreds of failures, more research, more experiments.
Then one day in January 1938,
a new discovery, referred to around the laboratory as S ingredient. Chemists immediately realized that if this marvelous ingredient can be successfully combined with soap, the washing of clothes will be revolutionized.
Then followed experiment after experiment, endlessly it seemed, but exciting, intense. Try this, test that. Procter & Gamble chemists were on the trail of something big, and succeed they did.
They found the perfect soap formula, including Miracle Action S ingredient. Today it's part of Oxydol, the new high-test Oxydol. From the laboratory has come a revolutionary advance in laundry soap, a startling improvement that makes high-test Oxydol outperform any soap on the market. For example,
high-test Oxydol is the whitest washing laundry soap ever.
Washes 15% whiter than any competing soap.
Makes 40% more suds than other soaps.
It's safer for colors. Colors stay fresh and bright.
Because high-test Oxydol gets rid of 50% more lime scum.
Now let's see exactly how high-test Oxydol compares with its leading competitors. Don't take anybody's word for anything. In these tests, each soap stands on its own merits. They're put through the same paces, and may the best man win.
You've met these competitors before, and you know there are no pushovers. Exactly how do these soaps compare? Is high-test Oxydol better? Exactly how much better? We'll see right now. Into these 4 laboratory miniature washing machines, we first place equal amounts of average tap water. All other factors are the same in every detail. The machines operate from the same drive at a uniform rate of speed. Next, we measure out equal parts of first Rinso. Then blue super suds. Then red super suds. And finally, the new high-test Oxydol. Now, all 4 of them are dumped into the miniature washers at exactly the same instant. The motor is started, and now watch how each soap performs. Look at that Oxydol. It starts going into suds instantly. Thick, lively, active suds that keep coming up and up. Endless quantities, it seems. By actual measurement, the new high-test Oxydol gives 40% more suds than the best competitive soaps. Of course, in this test, we used equal but minimum quantities of soap necessary to make suds. Women who use enough of any soap to make a good suds will notice that it takes larger amounts of the other soaps to equal Oxydol suds. They will see the results of this greater Oxydol sudsing power in a big saving of soap.
But wait a minute. That's a convincing demonstration, all right, but what about our girlfriend, that most important of all persons, Mrs. Housewife? What do more suds mean to her?
Sure, that's what counts. Let's leave the laboratory for a moment and ask her. Madam, will you tell us what suds mean to you in washing?
Suds? Why, I want lots of suds. Every woman does, whether it's for washing clothes, dishes, or general cleaning.
I see. Well then, the amount of suds you get from a soap influences your purchases?
Indeed, yes. I want the soap that gives the most suds.
Well, Oxydol's 40% more suds will sure be welcome news in this household and every other household in the land.
Yes, it certainly will. To millions of women, suds are the visual proof of a soap's efficiency, its ability to clean better and faster. And Oxydol is way out in front in suds making power.
And now, let's find out how much better Oxydol suds are. Let's see the test that proves high-test Oxydol washes clothes as much as 15% whiter than other granulated soaps on the market.
And here again, we take nobody's word for anything. We'll let this electric eye decide scientifically which soap washes whitest and how much whiter.
This machine is called a tintometer. It tells on this gauge the exact degree of whiteness. It measures the shades of whiteness 4 times more accurately than the human eye.
Here is the cloth we're going to wash. A standard piece of dirty toweling. A piece of cloth that has been impregnated with dust, dirt, and grime evenly throughout. We cut it up into squares of equal size and find that the tintometer scarcely moves. The cloth is anything but white. We do the same with the others. Each piece of cloth is equally dirty. Now again, into the miniature laboratory washing machines, we put equal amounts of Rinso, blue super suds, red super suds, and the new Oxydol. The motor is started to stir up a fresh batch of creamy suds, and we drop 2 pieces of the evenly soiled cloth into each one. Now, after they've run a few minutes, let's see what has happened in each washer. Let's take out 1 cloth from each washer, rinse it thoroughly, and hang it up to dry. Number 1, Rinso. Number 2, blue super suds. Number 3, red super suds. And number 4, the new Oxydol. And while these 4 pieces of cloth are drying so we can test them for whiteness on the tintometer, let's ask Mrs. Housewife what she thinks of whiteness. How important whiter washing is to her.
How about it, madam?
Why, of course. I want my clothes just as white as I can get them. But I don't want to scrub and boil them. That's far too much work. That's why I use a soaking soap, a granulated soap.
And if you knew about a granulated soap that washed as much as 15% whiter than any other, you'd try it, wouldn't you?
That would be the one for me. Why, that's the most exciting news. Is there such a soap? What's it called?
Just a few days more, lady, and you'll be hearing all about it.
The 4 cloths are dry, and here's the crucial test. Let's see exactly how white each is according to the scientific tintometer.
First, on the cloth washed with Rinso, the meter registers up to this point. The cloth washed with blue super suds registers only this far. The cloth washed with red super suds shows this degree of whiteness. But the cloth washed with the new Oxydol, almost 100%. It has been washed completely, thoroughly white. Shades whiter than the closest competitor by accurate tintometer readings. 15% whiter washing. This is the record the new Oxydol makes consistently in test after test, both in the laboratory and under practical washing conditions. That's what every woman wants, whiter washes. Oxydol gives her the whitest washes ever. So much whiter she can actually see the difference instantly.
It is truly marvelous to be able to get clothes so much whiter, so easily, quickly, and safely. But what about colored things? They're a very important part of any wash.
To be sure they are. And that's another point of Oxydol's superiority. Oxydol has always been famous for the way it treated colors. High-test Oxydol preserves colors even better. Actually keeps colors far fresher and brighter than other soaps. And here's a test that proves it. As most of you know, when ordinary soap is added to hard water, the minerals combine with the soap to form a scum known as lime curd. This scum clings to clothing even after much rinsing and makes garments dull and dingy looking.
But the new high-test Oxydol deposits 50% less scum than any other soap. Just watch this.
First, we fill 4 beakers with clean water. Plain tap water, just like Mrs. Housewife uses after she gets through washing in tub or machine. And that's what we're going to do. Rinse the other pieces of cloth we previously washed. From each of the washers, we take out the washed piece of cloth and drop it into a separate beaker for rinsing. Each cloth is rinsed thoroughly, just the same as it would be handled by Mrs. Housewife. Then each cloth is removed from the rinse water and squeezed dry as possible. Now let's take a look at that rinse water. On the surface of this one, there are numerous curds, lime scum that clings to any cloth it touches. Even after many rinsings, that lime scum sticks like a barnacle. Notice the amount of lime scum deposit in this water left by blue super suds. You can see that that flaky scum will soon dim the color and freshness of any dress. And look at this one. Large quantities of the same kind of scaly scum has formed on the surface of the red super suds rinse water. But look at this one. Look at the new Oxydol rinse water. What has happened to the unpleasant hard water scum? It has been so thoroughly dispersed in the rinse water that none can be seen floating on top. So practically none can cling to the cloth.
Yes, Oxydol actually disperses, gets rid of 50% more of the lime scum. And to every housewife, this means a miracle in keeping her print dresses, piquets, all her washable colored things brighter, fresher, washing after washing.
And here is final, complete proof that Oxydol preserves colors, keeps them fresh and new looking. Here's an ordinary piece of cotton print cut in 2 halves. Half A is put away. It's never touched. Part B is washed in Oxydol, hung up to dry, and washed over and over again. This was kept up time after time, a total of 175 washings. More times than the average woman will wash a cotton print dress in over 2 years' time.
And here you see that the Oxydol washed half, after 175 washings, looks as bright and fresh as the half that's brand new. Yes, after 175 washings in rich, creamy Oxydol suds, there is no perceptible sign of dulling or fading.
The same lime scum that raises such havoc with colors also makes white things dull and gray. Here's a brand new sheet, white, crisp, fresh. But after a number of washings with any of these competing soaps, it begins to look like this, dingy, gray. It's covered with lime curds, tiny scaly curds that you can't wash away or rinse away with ordinary soap.
Again, let's put Oxydol to the test. Let's see how a piece of cloth looks after it's been washed 175 times in high-test Oxydol. But just as high-test Oxydol keeps colors brighter and fresher than any other soap, so it also maintains whiteness far longer. Part A is put away, brand new, untouched. Part B goes through the grind of washing after washing. 175 chances to collect that lime curd. 175 exposures to dulling and dimming.
But it comes through snowy white, sparkling, fresh, new looking, same as the piece that just came out of the store.
And this is how the cloth washed 175 times in Oxydol compares with a piece of cloth washed 175 times in ordinary soap. An amazing difference that will delight every woman.
And there you have the highlights of the marvelous new high-test Oxydol. Whitest washing, most suds, safer for colors, maintains absolute whiteness.
Yes, and many other features we haven't mentioned. Most economical, does more work, goes farther than any other soap. Quicker, easier washes than ever. Clothes last 2 to 3 times longer than when washed the old-fashioned way.
Oxydol advertising, too, is going into high with more radio stations, more and bigger advertisements in more publications. All over the country, Oxydol advertising is being intensified. Our old friend and ace sales lady, Ma Perkins, on 2 networks and spot stations from coast to coast. Now in its 5th year, America's mother of the air is a more powerful advertising force than ever. Millions of women listen to Ma every day. And won't they be surprised and pleased to hear the familiar voice of Dick Wells when he makes the great announcement.
And now everybody ready for Oxydol's own Ma Perkins. But first, here's the greatest news Procter & Gamble have ever brought to the women of America. A new, greatly improved Oxydol. It's called high-test Oxydol. This amazing granulated soap is so utterly different.
And here's Oxydol's other big radio program, The Goldbergs, rated right at the very top. Also coast to coast, influencing more millions of women. 5 days a week, week after week, they'll hear about the wonders of high-test Oxydol.
Here's an announcement that comes once in a lifetime about a startling new improvement that will be a boon to every woman. High-test Oxydol does what no other soap.
Oxydol radio advertising is so plotted that every radio home in the country can hear Oxydol's programs from 2 to 8 times a day. First-rate entertainment accessible to everyone 5 days a week. 180 stations broadcast Oxydol messages, more than any other product in the world. If they've got a radio, they'll be told about high-test Oxydol.
And the largest newspaper campaign ever put behind Oxydol. Oxydol advertisements in full color in 69 Sunday newspapers. Large space week after week in 340 daily newspapers. A total of 409 newspapers that go into every home in the country that will spread and repeat the news of high-test Oxydol.
Behind high-test Oxydol, you'll have an advertising campaign unequaled by any laundry soap for dominance and intensity. A tremendous barrage that will be kept up continuously with never a letdown. Advertising that will attract attention and get action right from the start. That will continue day after day, week after week, year in and year out.
The product is in high, the advertising is in high, and the sales force will go into high.
The marvelous new high-test Oxydol, which you've just seen demonstrated, is now on your dealer's shelves. Every package is the new high-test Oxydol. There's no change in the package. The difference is in the soap.
And what a difference. What an improvement. 4 big reasons why it is better.
First, the whitest washing laundry soap. 15% whiter.
Second, 40% more suds. 40% more than any other granulated soaps. Suds that last 2 to 3 times longer.
Third, safer for colors. 50% less lime scum. Colors stay fresh and bright longer than with other soaps.
Fourth, safer for white clothes. They stay white longer, don't turn gray and dull.
High-test Oxydol out-tests and outperforms any competing soap on every score.
And how the women of America will go for it. High-test Oxydol is the laundry soap of tomorrow, which you're bringing to Mrs. Housewife today, and how she'll love you for it.
The presses are rolling. Radio has our all-set signal. Soon every woman in the country will be told about high-test Oxydol again and again, over and over.
And just as high-test Oxydol changes all previous ideas of easier, whiter, faster, safer washing, so high-test Oxydol will change ideas of sales possibilities. It will move the sales curve higher and higher.
Yes, Oxydol goes into high with
High-test Oxydol.